A new Mazda CX-5 Touring Edition costs right around $29,900, while a Tesla Model Y long range costs about $49,990. With a nearly $21,000 cost difference at purchase time, can the Model Y ever catch up? Let's dig into the numbers and find out. Hey y'all, it's Dr. Know-It-All. This channel is dedicated to finding out whether I really do know it all or not. If you enjoy the video, definitely make sure you like and subscribe for more of this stuff. And of course, ask me questions in the comments or at my email address. So as you may know, if you've watched other videos, I'll link a couple of them up here. My wife and I own a 2018 Mazda CX-5, which is very much a mass market vehicle at the under $30,000 range. It's a lovely vehicle. We enjoy it very, very much. But I thought, man, if we were going to buy a 2020 or 2021 model of that car right now, what would it cost versus a Model Y, which is very, very much more money to purchase? Like the sticker price is a lot more money. So I started thinking to myself, gee, I wonder if it would be actually cheaper or about the same cost to own a Model Y over time as it would to own the Mazda CX-5. So that's where I'm starting with this. So obviously, the Model Y long range is a premium car, right? It's just under $50,000, while the Mazda CX-5, the Touring Edition, is $29,500, but I know we would get at least $500 off of loyalty cash, so I'm just counting it as $29,000 flat. Also of note, the Toyota RAV-4 and the Honda CR-V and a number of other cars in that range are also quite valid for this, right? The costs are going to be more or less the same for all of them. I feel like the CX-5 is actually on the less expensive end, so it's a better competition, right? The RAV-4 is a little bit more expensive than the CX-5. So therefore, you know, if it works for the Model Y versus the CX-5, it's going to work for the Mazda CX-5 versus the slightly more expensive cars. Also, specifically, I'm looking at the CX-5 Touring Edition, which is not their base price one, versus the Model Y Long Range, which is, I guess, their base model right now. They also are supposedly going to have a single motor version out one of these days soon. I think this is a reasonable comparison because the Touring Edition gives the CX-5 a nicer interior, and kind of more importantly for comparison, it gives a bunch of driver assist features, which I think put it in line with the Model Y's autopilot features. So I think this becomes a reasonable comparison between these two cars. And like I said, I was like, wow, with a $21,000 deficit to start with, it's going to be interesting to see if the Model Y can catch up. Of course, all of these numbers are estimates. They're based on where I live and how I drive and my insurance rates, etc. So of course your mileage may vary, and you can substitute in your own numbers if you're interested in getting a little more fine-tuned to your own thing. But I'm reasonably representative, at least for the United States. With all of that being said, let's take a look at the actual numbers and see who wins. All right, so let's take a look at the numbers here. So the purchase price of the Model Y, as we said, is just under $50,000. The CX-5 purchase price, at least with some rebates and stuff, is going to be right around $29,000. The deposit for each of them is $4,500. The fees, I had to guesstimate this just a little bit on the Model Y, but it's around $1,125. This was, the $1,400 was the actual amount of money that I paid on our 2018 Mazda CX-5, so I figure that's pretty darn close. The tax rate in Georgia is 7.5%, so the tax is about $3,750 for the Model Y. That's about $2,175 for the CX-5. So therefore, the total price, including all of these things, is $54,000, almost $55,000 for the Model Y, and about $32,500 for the CX-5. So this gives us a cost difference of over $22,000, $22,300 in purchase. So that's a really big deficit the Model Y has to make up for in terms of economics. So let's see how it does. So in terms of the loan, we're going to do 72 months on the Model Y just to try to get the monthly payment down a bit, and 60 months on the Mazda CX-5. You can see how much we've got. Basically, it's the purchase price minus $4,500 because that was the down payment. And you can see that the interest is 2.49% for the Model Y, and amazingly enough, with Mazda, it's 0% for 60 months, which is fantastic. What a deal. So anyway, that doesn't go the Model Y's direction either. The payment, if you go to the Tesla website, says $699 a month for this. And for the Mazda, just dividing this out by 60 months gives you $409 per month. So that's how much you got to pay per month. So it's quite a substantial difference. What is that? 290 bucks difference? Yeah, wow. Per month. That's a lot of difference per month. So the total payout for the loan after the term of the loan is over is going to be $50,328. So you can see that the loan amount was only $45,000, so we've had to pay about $5,000 extra in interest, whereas the Mazda, we're just paying off the original amount. So the differential in price, if we take account of the loan as well, is almost $26,000. So again, the Model Y is in a huge deficit when we start taking account of all of those things. Insurance costs. Okay, so this obviously is me, and this is driving in Georgia, and this is being an older married male, etc. So your mileage is going to vary on this, obviously. But I called up State Farm, and they said it would be about $102 per month to insure the Model Y, and currently I'm paying around $86 a month for the Mazda. And of course, here's where things get interesting. So the economy of the Model Y is around 140 miles per gallon equivalent. The Mazda CX-5 is EPA rated to 27 miles per gallon city/highway combined. I actually find it to be slightly higher than that, so I'm going to give them the benefit of my own experience, which is around 27.5 miles per gallon. The amount of fuel for the CX-5, I'm just going to go at $2.50. It's a little below that right now. It was above that before the pandemic. I assume it'll come back up again over time. So that seems like a reasonable estimate. Of course, if you live in a more expensive area, then that's going to go up. So that's going to increase this cost drastically. The 3 cents per kilowatt hour thing is, this requires a little explanation. So here in Georgia, we have a 1 cent per kilowatt hour off-peak car charging rate, which is fantastic. So I'm going to assume we're going to do that 80% of the time. And then about 20% of the time, we're going to pay about 12 cents per kilowatt hour at a fast charging when we're doing road trips or we just get stuck someplace and have to do charging remotely. So that comes out to be about 3 cents per kilowatt hour. This estimate here, I've estimated the range of the Model Y to be about 270 miles per charge over the lifetime of the car. I know it's rated at like 316 miles per charge, but the real world tends to be around 285 for the Model Y new, and I'm going to assume some degradation over time. So this is just kind of a rough guesstimate that you would get around 270 miles per charge over the life of the vehicle. So if you do that, that's about, and it's an 85.5 kilowatt hour battery pack, so you get about 3.2 miles per kilowatt hour. So taking that and working out the numbers at 15,000 miles per year, that gives you about $134 per year, which is nice and cheap. Compare that to the Mazda CX-5 and we're looking at over $3,400 a year in gas. I actually went back and kind of looked at our receipts and that seems pretty accurate, which is very depressing how much money we spend on gas per year. All right, let's turn to other maintenance costs. So obviously we have an oil change. We need 2 of those per year because Mazda requires them every 7,500 miles. They're expensive because they're synthetic oil, so they're about $75 per change. We don't have that for the Model Y. We have tires. The tires are very, very similar in price. I costed these out at Costco just to find out, and that's 4 new tires. I'm only going to include this once in the life, even at 5 years, because it kind of is right around the 3-year mark where you would want to get new tires anyway. And as for other maintenance, there's things that are supposed to take place every 24 months or so on the Model Y. So I kind of divided that out. It was like $500, so I divided that out. And you'll notice I just fixed this up. I forgot to divide by 3 instead of 2. But anyway, there is maintenance that's required of the Model Y, but it's every 2 years. So basically, I've just divided the whole thing out by 3, and it comes out to about $185 per year. The maintenance, just required maintenance every year for the first 3 years on the CX-5 comes out to about $400 per year. So now let's talk about what equity we have left in the car. So after 3 years, we have approximately $26,000 left on our Model Y loan versus about $9,776 left on our CX-5. The resale value of the Model Y, I had to guesstimate a little bit. I used the Model 3 as a template for that because the Model Y is not old enough, but the Model 3 is getting about 80% of its initial value at 45,000 miles and 3 years old. So at 80%, we've got almost $40,000 left in the resale value of the car. The Mazda is about 61% of resale value, so that's about $17,690. Thus, the equity, which is this line versus that line, is almost $14,000 for the Model Y and about $7,900 for the CX-5. So for 3 years, not assuming resale, right? Assuming you're going to keep this car, the Model Y is going to cost you $40,000 for 3 years, or about $13,379 per year. Here's where it gets interesting, however. Look at the CX-5. It is $38,734, or about $12,911 per year. So that's not that much difference between these two. You can see the cost differential is $1,400 over that 3 years. So you're getting a premium car for only $1,400 more overall. That's not too bad. If we take account of resale value, where we actually sell the car at that point, then we drive the cost down to $8,715 per year, where the Mazda is $10,273 per year. So we actually get a cost differential here of $4,675, so to the benefit of the Model Y. So the Model Y is now cheaper if we resell it to own than the Mazda CX-5, even though it cost $22,000 more to purchase. So let's now take a quick look at 5 years. We're going to keep paying off our loans for the next 2 years, right? It's $700 a month and $410 a month about. The insurance is going to stay the same, even though honestly that would probably go down over time, but that we'll just count that as the same for that period of time. And then we're going to have our same gas prices for 2 years. We have more oil changes and we have our maintenance. The maintenance is going to go up for the CX-5 because as it gets older, there's more maintenance required. So let's now take a quick look at the loan remainder, the resale value, and the equity. The loan value that's remaining of the CX-5 is $0 because we've paid it off in 60 months. The loan remainder of the Model Y is going to be approximately $9,000. The CX-5, the 2015 CX-5, is worth about 41% of the original purchase price at 75,000 miles. So we have just a little under $12,000 of resale value. And that's also, of course, the equity of the car because we don't owe anything on the loan. The Model Y, I had to pull a bit of a number out of a hat. I went down to around 65% because that's what Model S's and Model X's are. It's a little bit unfair because there's so much more of a premium car that they have larger depreciation, but you know. So take this number as you will because there's not even a 5-year-old Model 3 out, much less a Model Y. But this seems reasonable, right? 65%. So in that case, we still have $32,493 wrapped up in the car. We subtract that and we have an equity of $23,493 left. So let's look at the total cost of ownership after 5 years. If we don't resell the car, we've put $60,000 into the car. Wow, it's about $12,000 per year. It makes you realize just how expensive cars are. For the Mazda, we put $58,734 into the car, or about $11,746 per year. The cost differential is about $1,265, so you can see it's starting to come down. And after about 6 or 7 years, once we stopped paying on the Model Y, once we paid off the loan, it would become much cheaper than the CX-5 to own very, very rapidly, obviously. But of course, if we take the resale value into account, so we're going to sell the car at 75,000 miles after owning it for 5 years, then the CX-5 actually cost us $10,278 more to own than the Model Y after 5 years. So that's, it's a little over double what it was in 3 years. So it's rapidly becoming the better deal, like by a substantial margin. So if you look at the cost of ownership here per year, $7,300 versus $9,300, it's, somewhere around a third cheaper to own the Model Y per year if you resell the car than it is to own what looks like a much cheaper Mazda CX-5 over 5 years. So wow, pretty cool. So as should be obvious from the numbers, the Model Y never quite catches up to the CX-5 if you only take the cost of ownership without resale value into account. However, even not taking resale value into account is really not that much more expensive per year, even after only 3 years, which is pretty remarkable considering that it starts off as a so much more expensive car than the CX-5. I would guess somewhere around the 6.5 to 7 year mark would be where the Model Y would start to really, really come into its own and become drastically cheaper to own than the CX-5. You've got two things going on. Number one is that the loan would finally get paid off after 6 years. Good gracious, that's a long loan. And the second thing is that, the older a gas engine car is, the more expensive it becomes to maintain. Whereas the Model Y should effectively be the same cost over time because there's just not that much maintenance that's required. And of course, taking resale value into account, which is quite reasonable as we pretty much all sell our used cars, the Model Y is way cheaper even after only 3 years. And after 5 years, it's coming close to being 1/3 as expensive per year to own as the Mazda CX-5, which is kind of like mind-blowing considering how much more money it costs. And of course, it's even more inspiring to realize that the Model Y rear-wheel drive one-motor version is going to be coming out, and that'll probably be $4,000 or $5,000 cheaper than the current lowest price one. So if you want to shave off even a little bit more, that's going to make the comparison even more in favor of the Tesla Model Y as that model comes out. So in short, it gets quite tempting to purchase a Tesla Model Y over even a mass market car that appears to be way, way, way cheaper given the cost benefits. Basically, you get to own an electric premium brand car for less than a mass market car. That's amazing. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it informative. If you did, please make sure that you like the video so that others can find it, and make sure you subscribe for more of this content. And also make sure you ask me questions in the comments or at my email address, which is DrKnowItAllKnows@gmail.com. Till next time, bye-bye.